We are go for liftoff in T minus 30.
Hit the record button.
Gosh, that's swell.
It's a low blog talk radio.
I did not hit record. I swear. So Lewis, is, I call him Lewis, but he's gonna correct me. We have been talking. The most interesting talk was not recorded. Yeah, I feel that. I feel so. I didn't do it. So anyway, this is Italo from Italo's Black Type Radio. This was supposed to be part 3, but we kind of like evolved. This has evolved, and now I'm waiting for Lewis to come back, so we can pick up where we kind of left off. But we didn't really. We're now venturing in another direction. We're talking about oysters. So let me ask him to say that again, because that was amazing. The word of the day for Lewis was oyster, and I asked him why. And the answer was not what I expected. I didn't see that coming. Let's go back to what you were saying about the word of the day, because that was really, really cool.
Okay.
Wait, what happened?
I flipped over. That was me. That's
what
me.
happened.
That was me.
So,
Okay.
word of the day. The word of the day for you was.
Yeah. So my word of the day was oyster, and I remember typing it in because I think Joe's word was in the beginning. I didn't hear it, and it was to be intentionally uncomfortable. And I thought to myself in my head, I'm like, oh man, I'm like, that sounds like an oyster. So I type it in and I'm like, oyster. I'm like, oyster. And he looks down, he looks at it, he's like, oyster. I was like, Louis, oyster? I was like, what? People eat it? Oyster? Man, I gotta get to this. So I was like, okay, I have to text him in. And so I had text him in. And I said, oysters are the filters. They're the filters in the sea, and oysters live an uncomfortable life. And the reason they do is that when they take in sand, they take a little bit of sand, it makes them uncomfortable. So that uncomfortability inside the shell, constantly being uncomfortable, turns that sand into a pearl. Mm. And people are like, wait, okay, yes, it turns that into a pearl. So their whole life is being uncomfortable, because when you are uncomfortable, that's when it's like polishing yourself. You're polishing against something. So the oyster is polishing that sand into the point where it turns it into a pearl. So when I said that, he was like, boom, it sort of dawned,
Yeah,
like, okay.
My blind was blown right now. Like,
Yeah.
Well, it was not rehearsed as it is right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I already told him that, but you were.
Yeah.
I fucked up and I didn't record it earlier. So
No. Here's the thing. All right. And take this take it with a grain of sand. All right. When things happen, you said it, things happen for a reason. You know that things happen for a reason. So the thing about it is what I gave you, right? The thing that I'm giving you at that moment was for you, so that you can be polished, so that you understand. Now you have an understanding of knowledge of that I just gave you. Here you go. And it was like, oh, but no, it was meant for you. So the fact that it didn't record, it was meant for you. So now you have that knowledge within you. And we can have that conversation. We can always have that conversation. No, but now you have more tools in there to be like, oh, okay, now I can, oh, I understand. Now, see, I'm hearing it for the second time, and now now there's a different spin to it. Now there's a different sort of way for it. So now you're getting a different perspective of it, And I love that about sort of having to repeat something, because sometimes we hear it one way, and then when we hear it again, we hear it another way. So that's a good thing. And that's what Joe, in that sense, has taught me, is that find that positive in something. Find it. Even if the person that is, man, oh, come on, like I should have. It's like, no, there was a reason that happened. There's a reason that happened. So for me, it's just like, yeah, let's redo that again. Let's redo that again. Let's sort of understand that. So.
And I don't know if you were in my live earlier when I was in TikTok live. Just
Yes.
a quick one, right? I was in Big
I was
Bear.
at the end, towards the end, yeah.
You were there until the end, right?
Yes.
Actually, you were there right at the end.
Right at the end.
At the end. Okay.
Right at the end. Yes.
Which actually is interesting, because the picture I have in my head of all that I saw today, and the mountains, some of it, is amazing right now, and the snow.
Yeah.
The one thing I focused on is the one thing you saw,
Mm-hmm.
which was.
I'm trying to think. What did I?
I don't know if you saw it. It was that tree, the red tree.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah.
The garland, whatever. I don't know what they call it.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
that was, to me, the most interesting thing I've seen, because I always see it in ornaments and Christmas things, and they're always fake. They're always fake.
Yeah.
And they're always the lookalikes and the fake ones. But I saw the real thing, and I'm like, this exists in nature, and I was inspired by that. I'm like,
yeah,
of everything that was around me, and
the majesty of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that detail, and I think that's when you came on, and I'm like, oh, wait, Louis, you're here, and okay, let me show you something, and and there was a bird.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm getting chills right now, because I realized that was the highlight of the whole day for me. And it was like, it could have been the snow, it could have been the pine trees, it could have been and everything else. But it was,
so in the sense is the serendipity of it, the everything working for one moment that is more significant than whatever the totality of it. You know what I mean? So me coming in at the moment when you were grabbing the tree is like, oh, like, okay, wow, what that just happened. You know what I mean? That just happened. Like, we were having this conversation, and it's like, oh, and I saw it. I was like, oh, he's live. I'm like, oh, let me just say hi real quick.
Yeah.
And see how he's doing. So I went on, and I'm like, and you were like, oh, Louis, and then you looked in the tree, and I'm like, okay. I was like, yes. So that's the thing about it is.
So you saw the highlight of my day.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, right at that moment. That's when I sort of came in. And
I love it. I mean, I always say I love nature, even though I'm always indoors and stuff. But when I go out and I see it, I'm like, that is, wow. Why don't I go out more often?
But at that moment, right? At that moment, you weren't in the past. You weren't in the future. You were that moment. You were there with that tree. You were there. And to say that you love something, right? In the sense is like, you're saying, like, I miss this. It's like, why don't I see it more often? I miss this. You see what I'm saying? And going back, to to what we're saying is that we're the ones who are stopping ourselves. You see that? The story, remember the story in your head. You're the one telling that story. You're the one believing that story. All right. And in a sense, you're the one stopping yourself from doing those things, because when we are in fear, when we are worried, again, we go back to we're thinking of the future twice. We're thinking of the future, and then we're thinking of the past. Those thoughts are the ones that keeps us there, that keeps us in those fears. But when we're present, we are all our energy. When we are energetically present, we are creating our future, and our past has already happened. So we're just moving sort of forward. So in that sense, what you're experiencing that moment is total presence, total mindful. I am here, and look at this thing, and it brought you to it and said, wow, these things are real.
Yeah. I was like, this is not just in the Christmas story.
Ornament, yeah. It's not an ornament,
It's
like
not made in China. I thought it was made in China. But
exactly.
no, it's not made in China. It's right here in
No,
California. Damn.
no, man, no, it's there. It's like I've been here. It's like the tree is telling you, I've been here this whole time, waiting
Yeah,
for
I'm
you to
like,
acknowledge me,
what?
waiting for you to, waiting for
Mind
you to
blown.
acknowledge me. Come on, yeah,
You have
yeah,
been here.
yeah, yeah. It's like
Like,
I've been here this whole time. For years, I've been here, waiting for you.
it was. I took a picture though. It was like
Yeah,
beautiful, beautiful.
yeah,
Everything was beautiful.
yeah.
Picture perfect. Let's put it this way.
Right.
Picture.
Oh, complete. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
even putting the tires. I mean, the chains and the tires.
yeah.
Because okay, another story, right? So
Yes, please.
in the past, I used to be very quick at having people do this and that for me, right? So when I showed up to yeah, order around, like, okay, I can afford it. Just I'll pay $40 and have you put the chains and the tires.
Right.
So I stopped. You have to stop at 5,000 feet because you're about to enter the snow area,
Mm-hmm.
snow summit, and all the different things. And it's going to be slippery, so you have to put your chains. And so I stopped. The guy's kind of directing me, and so he sees me. He's like, "Do you want me to help you?"
Mm-hmm.
And my first reaction is like, I was going to say yes, right? And I'm like, no, I need to do this. I need to do
Yeah,
this myself.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But and then he saw me. He's like, "You don't look like the type that you can do it." Like, for real. I'm like, yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
what I'm saying, but
Right.
I'll do it myself. I did it once, but it
Yeah.
wasn't a good job. But
Right.
then, as I was pulling the chains, and it took strength, right?
Yes.
And I was thinking, I'm like, it takes strength to do anything. So just think of it as a workout. This
Yeah.
is a workout. So I was pulling the rubber, and the rubber was really tough, and I'm like, "You're working out. You're working out, Victor. You're working out. You're working out. It's almost there." And I was
Right. Right.
laughing at myself. I'm like, "This is
Yeah.
pathetic."
Yeah.
So, but at the end of the day, I did a great job. The
Right.
guy didn't have to come back. I would have spent $40 on this 5 minute whatever it
Yeah.
took to do it.
Yeah.
And I felt proud of myself. I'm like, I feel
Yeah.
proud because I was like, I could have said yes, but I don't think I can afford many things anymore.
Right.
And it made me realize it's like you gotta take care of you gotta do it yourself.
Right. Right.
You gotta
Right.
just paint that wall. You have to, you know what I'm saying, cook that dinner instead of
Yeah.
ordering.
Right.
So
It's the loss. It's kind of like atrophy. So atrophy happens when you don't use it, and the favorite thing for that is like if you don't use it, you lose it. So that happened to me even here. I've been sort of working around the house, learning how to do stuff. having to learn this stuff.
Right.
And to me, my brother, he is amazing at seeing something, right, and then just being able to see it and then doing it. So he's not he's like, yeah. I asked him, I was like, he said, yeah, of course I'm afraid to do something that I never done before, but I mean, if that person did it, why can't I do it? And I saw how they did it, and they're teaching me how to do it. So once he feels comfortable and he does it, right? So for me, I wanted to get to that stage where I'm just like, okay, this is it. I got to do this, but like I rather pay somebody to do it because I don't want to do it. I don't want to mess it up.
Right. Right.
So, my wife is good at telling me those things. It's like, no, you can do it. No, you got it. You can do it. Like, go ahead. Like, just jump off that tree.
Right.
And I love her for it. And and then you are amazed at what you are capable of doing. The feeling that you get when when that is accomplished. So when when you were finished,
I felt so accomplished. I'm like, you got it.
Yeah.
And you
Like,
deny this mentally later. I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, that's like, yeah, I can. This is easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, if you do it one time,
yeah.
just like doing a Zoom meeting was very nerve-wracking to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now, it's not a big deal. So yeah, anything will take a few trial and errors, like
Right.
I didn't do it earlier and then didn't hit record, but it's
Right.
fine. Like you said, it wasn't for you who was listening to this
Right.
podcast to hear.
Yeah.
Because there were some things there that I had to hear, actually.
Yeah, no, and the thing about it is, it is those things, and that's why I said that Joe does really well. Like, Joe does really well is that he knows what he wants people to talk about and focus on, because he knows the other things. Yes, we there's other platforms, there's other people that you can go and say what you need to say, but here is more of focusing the core of you, right? The core of you, so that you can move forward and go out to all these other places and be a better person, be a positive sense when you go into these conversations. So the core of him sort of guiding people, because there's a few times that people have gone and they're like trying to get political and stuff like that. He's like, I'm sorry, we don't talk about that here, respectfully. We're here about positivity. What what can you add to this conversation? What experience you have, or if you're having a hard time, we're here to sort of build you up. To let you know that, hey, listen, you see that? That's an acknowledgement of building up. You see what I'm saying? So we're here to build you up so that when you go out into the world, it's positive what you're putting, and you put that spin to it. So you're taking a piece of him to the world as you're adding it to yourself. You see what I'm saying? This dude, he's yeah. So yeah, man, I'm telling you, it's like.
Okay, so there's a reason I'm laughing, and it's not because I am listening to what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, I'm having a picture in my head that I'm an oyster.
There you go. There you go.
I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Complete sense. Complete sense. We've been talking being uncomfortable.
I'm filtering the sand, and I'm molding it together, and you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful, because everybody's very, in my opinion, is very interesting to hear other people's stories, regardless of their background, regardless of their politics, religion, sexual orientation.
Right. They're people. It's people.
They're just people. So
yeah.
But I think that's what I'm doing, because I don't ask everybody to come on my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Not because they're not worthy or they're not interesting or whatever. Right. Is that I need to filter out some people that are in the social media just to harm, just to cause chaos and
Right.
revolt and blood being blocked twice, or
Yeah.
banned or shadow ban, whatever they call them.
Right.
They just wanna create that tension,
Right.
and so I don't need that. I
Right.
already had so much of that in my life that I don't
Yeah.
need to do it again.
Right.
So I'm just filtering like an oyster.
And that's it, man. It's like um yeah, we don't like I was, I did ride share, right? So I used to do ride share.
Me too.
Because what happened a couple years ago, I just stopped. Maybe 3 years ago, I stopped. Uh, I used to work for a nonprofit, which was great organization. First place I ever went to where I loved the people that I worked with. But I had to leave. I had to leave because at the time my wife was starting school and she wasn't getting what she needed. So I'm just like, okay, well, it's okay. They were amazing about it. They're like, listen, go take care of your family. Go do what you need to do. And so that she was able to go to school while, I can take care of the kids and do the stuff like that. So I was doing ride share, I was doing like Uber and stuff like that, and Lyft. And you get into, I got all types of people coming in, and you got people that wanted to talk, and I was okay with that. You got people that don't want to talk. I'm okay with that too. And I always tell them, I said, my job is to take you from point A to point B. That's it. If we have a conversation and you enjoyed it, or if you like the music that I played, great. But there was this young man who just finished college. He's getting ready, and he's like, do you have any advice about, I'm getting into this new sort of job and stuff like that, and I'm gonna have to sort of relate and talk to people and all this other stuff, because he's like, I love the way you express yourself, and to me, I feel like I can talk to you. And I said, okay. I said, real simple. I said, talk to people. And he's like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. He's like, no. I said, talk to people. I said, anything that you do in this world, anything that you do, everything that you're going to do, you're going to have to talk to people. So get good at talking to people, to understanding people, that at any point you can talk to anybody, a person that's walking down in the street that you can say hi and start up a conversation, to a person that is up high with authority that you can start up a conversation, because in the end, they're all people. They're not, there's nothing different. We're made up of the same stuff. We have words. This is how we communicate. This is how we listen. This is how we, visualize things. We have all those components. So to people, you just sit down. If you see somebody, you want to talk to that person, you go up to that person. Now it's up to that person if they want to talk to you or not. You can't fix that. But after that moment, I always say, it takes 10 seconds of courage, right? 10 seconds of courage for you to be the most courageous person in the world for 10 seconds, to go up to somebody and just say, hey, listen, let's just talk. I like what listen, I saw this. I just wanted to say to you this, no other intentions with it, plain and simple. And then at that moment, let the person react, and you don't know what you're going to get. And that's the beauty of it. And I said, go talk to everybody. Talk to everybody. Get good at that, because people who are good at talking, people are the people that are you're going to move in your job, and you're going to understand your job more, because it's all about people. There's nothing else. Mm-hmm. So he was like, well, he's like, man, I just spent all this time like trying to learn this craft and all this other stuff, when I should have just be talking to people. I was like, anybody can get that. Mm-hmm. Anybody can get that. The fear is just taking those 10 seconds and being courageous and just go, hey, I know it's fearful. I know it's crazy to like, you know, and that's the thing that brings you back to Joe. And that's what he's doing. Like, somebody's calling in for the first time. You don't know this person and you're having to interact in front of other people. Tell me if that's nerve-wracking in itself.
Right.
But when you get comfortable doing it, it becomes second nature. You don't think about it.
It becomes addictive, actually. That's the reason why.
Yeah.
And it's not because I want to be on his live again and I want to talk.
Yeah.
But you know, there's experiences that I'm having.
Yeah.
And since I cannot tell him or tell whoever,
Right.
I'm just gonna write him down. So eventually, I write him down and I analyze each word and because not only do you come up with a word of the day, you also have to figure out why did you come up with a word.
Right.
And throughout the day, things may happen or that will prompt you to say that is the perfect word of the day, because I need silence right now. I need to be quiet. I need to be observant of my surroundings. Where today I was inspired by many things I was saying, or maybe it was just one day it was just coffee.
Right.
Because I needed to talk to somebody, so I had a coffee talk conversation.
Right. Yeah.
But coffee was the commonality between us.
Right.
Well, he was smoking too, so it was more of a coffee and cigarette.
Right.
Yeah, it's just and then that focus is like positivity is interesting because now you're focusing on that one word or that one thought.
Right.
How can I achieve that word in my life today?
Right.
You know, or yeah. I don't know. It's very complex to explain for some reason.
To me, and like I said, my brain works different. So for me, the way I've been looking at it lately, the way I looked at it, and it goes to say, I thought that way. I thought like, oh man, like I gotta come up with something. And what stopped me was everybody that was coming on were amazing at what they were saying. So I got good at listening to what people's word was and what it meant to them and how they put it together. So now for me, it's not, you can just give me a word. Like for me, it's like, you can just give me a word. So in one of the lives, I couldn't think of anything. I couldn't. I just like, oh man, I can't think of anything. Thinking that I need to get on and to think about it. And I was like, okay. And I had sent text hi and without even thinking about it, right? So I said to my daughter, I said, hey, what's your word of the day? You know? And I'm like,
Wait a minute. Wait. Stop.
Yeah.
Was she the one that came up with jelly?
You got it.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I got a pot. Yeah.
Okay. I have to ask. What is it with jelly? I love that word.
Yes.
Because that day it made sense. Like, okay, let me tell you something.
Yes, please.
I didn't know it was you.
Yeah.
That's or your daughter.
Yeah.
Okay, that was you. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because my first word was. Okay, here's a confession.
Yeah, go please.
My first word of the day was, or my first word when I was called by Joe, I thought of what would sound good. Community, right? Like that sounds great. Community.
Yes, but that's not you.
All I was talking about was my parents.
Yeah.
So that had no rhyme or anything. Not
right.
So, and then when you said jelly or daughter said
My daughter,
jelly.
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, it doesn't have to be, you know,
See here,
supercalifragilistic.
you're
It's
not
not.
trust, and that's where it comes. And this is what I trust. I have come to know that know yourself. Very important. If there's one person in your life that you need to know is yourself. So I wasn't thinking of anything. I couldn't think of anything. And I said, here's my daughter who, for me, my experience and what I've known her, I think she's amazing. So I go and I ask her, I said, you know, and this is my thought. This is my thought process as I ask her. I said, hey, listen, give me a word of the day. What would be your word of the day? And she goes, she see not no hesitation, no nothing.
Yeah.
It's morning, and her favorite thing is to have a piece of toast with jelly. And she goes, jelly? And I'm like,
Uh,
in my head, I'm like, of course. Here's a child. Of course she's gonna say something jelly. But it wasn't silly to her. She was saying that word with intent. She was like, jelly. And I go, well, why jelly? She's like, cause it's good. And I'm like, oh, wow. She stopped me and I'm like, oh, shoot. Like, and then that triggered my memory to go into me and say, jelly, where have I heard that word before? And I love hip hop and I love all this stuff. And I love the slang. And that's what we used to use that word. It'd be like, yo, yeah, there was even a thing, but it's not related to jelly, but it was gel. Like you're like, you know, but we used to say you jelly, like, yeah, jelly, you're good. So good, jelly, good. She even said it. She told it to me. And I had to sort of bring it back and sort of put it in my purview and how I look at it. So when I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. Jelly, of course, is good. So to me, I took the phrase of where good is and said, have a good day. And it's like, have a jelly day, you know? So I put it in those concepts. So when I told him, and he was like, jelly, he did the same thing I did. I was like, jelly. He's like, it's good. And so I sort of reacted to it.
That taught me something that day. That taught me something that's like, you don't have to sound very eloquent. And my word of the day.
Oh, yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Come up with coffee, okay? Silence. It can be bye.
No, listen, something that is, yeah, because I mean, think about it. Even in the sense of things that you love to do, right? Things that you love to do, things that you love, things that are you, right? A food, something that means something to you. Like for me, right? Like, let's say for me, chocolate milk is you're talking love to me if you're talking chocolate milk, right? And because there's a story towards that. There's a story with that. And for me, chocolate milk means when if I give you a glass of chocolate milk, I'm telling you that you're that important to me. You're important to me. You're like as a relationship. Because what happened with me was like, when I was little, my dad wasn't able to live with me. But anytime he would come, he would bring a carton of chocolate milk. He knew I loved chocolate milk. So for me, my dad never failed at that. He was always, every single time, he would just bring it and knew that that's what made me feel comfortable. So if I'm giving you a glass of chocolate milk, or I offer you chocolate milk, listen, you mean something. You see what I'm saying? Because we only share the things that we love with people that we love. Here you go. Here you go. You see what I'm saying? So in that sense, when my daughter was talking about jelly being good, being stuff, that's what she was trying to share, not with me. She's not going to share something that she hates. She's not going to be like, oh, I don't like this, so I'm going to share this word with you. No, she shares something that you love. So you share the things that you love. You share it. And that's what you sort of have to find. So when you listen to it, you're what you were talking about, you're like, oh man, I gotta send something that sounds good that everybody's gonna be in tune with. You weren't talking about you. You see what I'm saying? You gotta find you in those words. It's the words that might be silly to somebody else but are important to you. You don't know how they're gonna react when they relate to what you're saying, because you're giving them something fake. And people, sometimes the energy and what you're saying when it's fake, people just notice, and you're like, oh, okay, all right, thanks for that. Like, community, got it. Yep.
Right.
Like, you're like, community. Right.
In reality, it is a community of people that are getting together in
Yes.
his life,
Yes.
and also the Zoom meeting that I'm having
Yes.
outside of TikTok. We have another group.
Yep.
So there is community. That wasn't bullshit.
Right. But to you,
at that moment, that particular moment,
yes,
I didn't feel community. I felt angry. I felt a certain way.
yes,
And there was manipulation, and there was enmeshment.
Yeah.
So there were other words
genuine
that were more genuine in that particular time. I mean, it wasn't that I wanted to sound eloquent.
Right.
It's like at that time, that particular moment, I just need to have a word so I can talk to Joe. But in reality, it could have been, could have been computer, whatever.
So let me twist the perspective a little bit in this moment, right? The only issue here is that when you said the word, you never gave it the respect to the word. So the way you were thinking about the word is, it in the sense is like, I need to sound well. I need to give something that I think people are going to look at that word and they're going to be like, oh, that's amazing. Instead of respecting the word and saying, what does that, in that sense, what is like, if I say community, what does that really mean to me? And how does that relate to me? You see what I'm saying? And then from that thought, you like, being in silence. Be in silence with that word, right? And let it see what comes out afterwards. Sometimes we step in our way in letting our true self say what they need to be said. We stop ourselves from doing that. So instead of, what you need to think about is in the sense of, when you think of a word, right? Give it the respect that the word deserves by, what do you love about that word? Meaning, and when I say, what do you love about it? What does that word say about me? You see what I'm saying? Because you can replace you with the word love, and that's what you're doing. So once you see that and you internalize that, I bet you're going to get this amazing sort of thing coming out and letting people know what that means.
Well, sometimes I have to start with a word or a phrase or lyrics. And then from that lyric, sometimes I can start with a lyric, all you need is love, or whatever. But at the end of the day, when I write everything else, I'm like, I could do without this phrase altogether. And something comes out of everything else. So the start is not, the starting point is good to have a starting point, with like a word of the day. But then throughout the day, you come up with more revelations, and that can be even more interesting and give you more meaning,
Right.
But
It's the flow.
Listen, we have 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
And I do have to eat.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. No worries here. No worries.
I'm loving the conversation, but we can pick up. Let's pick up some other time today. Other day.
I just want to say, I want to thank you for having me on here. I want to thank you for providing this, and for you to understand that not only is this is a conversation between two beings, but it's a form of therapy. Okay. And it's a form of two people hearing their voices and understanding each other. And people are never, people are not going to always agree, but I appreciate what you just did today. What you did today is, I said my day was amazing, but my thing is you made my day today. And I want to thank you for that. And I want to say namaste. And I see you. So thank you so much.
That's real. Man, I didn't see that coming.